If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
Coming in hot, it is the Squared Circle Digest. Sean Stanley here. A great night of AEW Dynamite, and they even gave you something to look forward to for Friday Rampage. So overall, AEW got started. What a great match. I thought Dax Hardwood and CM Punk got it started and did exactly what you need to do at the first match, man. It was just, but also AEW does that every week in and week out. That first match is probably main event, status. I didn't think the main event today. I mean, I know they're trying to work this Jericho Appreciation Society gimmick thing over. I think that there's a couple matches on the card that would have been, better off in that spot. But the CM Punk match was great to me. That they got over everything. I liked the way that, it was one-on-one. There was no, the Guns kind of got involved outside the ring, but nobody interfered in the match. Cash also stayed out of it pretty much, and it was one-on-one with Dash and CM Punk, Dax, and I'm sorry, Dash. It's Cash and Dax Hardwood and CM Punk went one-on-one to start the show, and I thought it was a tremendous, and it built the crowd up. And from there, it went to the 8-man Texas Tornado match. Sting, once again, coming off the top rope. Now he's 63 years old, and he's still doing the craziness. You saw Jeff Hardy jump off of a window sill up above, 25 feet above, through the tables with Butcher and Blade on them. You're seeing Hardy, I guess, unleashed right now in a way. There's no... nothing holding them back anymore. This is, they have a lot of creative freedom at AEW, and you're seeing that with a lot that's going on. One thing that I did notice, though, is you're seeing Darby Allin kind of go in I know his character is more angled toward dark and being a loner, but I'm wondering if at some point it's not going to be the Hardys against Sting and Darby Allin at some point with this the way they're building this up, because Darby's kind of distancing himself from the others, and then you'll see Sting kind of go back and get him in, and this and that. So I'm wondering if you're going to start seeing some of the distancing with Darby Allin and see what's going on there. Bryan Danielson, John Moxley took on the Varsity Blondes. The Varsity Blondes were victorious on AEW Dark last night. They cut the promo and were not as fortunate tonight on the show as Danielson and and Moxley just stomped a mud hole in him at the end of the match, and both of them walked that mud hole dry. Mox got on the mic and basically cut the promo saying, if you want to be with them, you better step up or you're going to get stepped on. And then it was Adam Cole, Jay Lethal. I thought, again, this was the match to me that could have stole the show. The way they did the endings and things there, I think ultimately you will see more of them against each other coming up soon. I think you'll see more there. The cheap victory, the cheap win for Adam Cole. Red Dragon came out, got involved. Again, it was number 4, Adam Cole against number 5. And then you saw the build-up for the title. The only thing that I'm not liking with this whole thing is they say the rankings mean so much, but then you have Adam Cole at number 4 getting the shot at the title. What about 1, 2, and 3? The only issue I have with some of the things, they go on Layla Hirsch, Red Velvet was next. The match was what it was. It was a rubber match, and it's still the build up to be Layla against Statlander. And ultimately, I think they did that. You saw Statlander come out and help out Velvet at the end. Layla Hirsch cheated her way in for the victory, so it didn't hurt Red Velvet, and her standing, in AEW with the cheat victory. And then it's getting Statlander and her new gimmick, the darker colored wardrobe. She's not wearing the alien stuff, flashy colors anymore. And you're going to see her and Layla Hirsch kind of go at it. And then at the end, you saw the Jericho Appreciation Society against the Dark Order. And again, I mean, I think it was good what they did. I love John Silver and Alex Reynolds. I just wish they would actually really give them a good push. I don't think they do enough with the Dark Order. I know the hiccup that happened, with Brody Lee passing away and everything else there. But at some point, the Dark Order's got to start getting some footing, or else you might as well disband the group and just let those guys go on their own. I know they're doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes with being the elite and all that stuff. So, again, they're entertaining group and things like that. But I think at some point you got to start pushing them on the screen. I thought it was cool today to see a lot of, new faces on the program. You had Layla Hirsch. You had, you had Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti cut the promo, and then Dan Lambert came out, and they're building that up well. I like what they're doing there. News came out today that apparently Paige Van Zandt was offered a WWE contract, but they didn't want her to fight anymore. They wanted to be exclusive, which is what they do, because they don't want you getting hurt in a fight. Or, if they build you up and you go to a fight and you lose, what do they do with you after that? So, but anyways, they wouldn't give her the, she didn't want to give them the exclusive deal. So that's why now she's in AEW and she is basically free to fight whenever she wants. Cargill got some promo time there. Again, they're doing a lot of good stuff. I like what AEW does. Is the one thing I don't like about WWE programming is the vignettes that they go over and over and over with the same crap every week. I mean, we saw Roman and Brock. I saw Brock drive the forklift into the SUV about 27 times this week already. And then I'm going to watch another 13 times probably on Friday. And then you're going to watch it again the following week. And then you're going to watch it again leading into WrestleMania. I like what AEW did. You have Lance Archer. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Lance. Lance Archer and Dustin Rhodes going to fight each other on Friday. Both of them cut good promos right there. Went back in history, saw the match where, they fought each other before. He left Dustin laying and bleeding, but the promo was looking forward. They're not looking back. They're looking forward. Ricky Starks and Swerve Strickland looking forward, not going back, To me, I think that's where, if I have to kind of say something is, the difference between the two programs, and maybe why WWE drags, is because everything goes back. They take everything back. As soon as you watch a match, all of a sudden it's going back to last week what did Roman Reigns say to Brock Lesnar? Last week, what happened? You need to start looking forward and keep it going. The momentum, keep that momentum rolling, because that's what's happening right now to me with AEW. When you're watching it, it gets you caught up in the moment because they're just there in the moment. They're not taking you back to something you've seen 13 times. Hell, even on NXT last night, I watched the Roman Reigns twice. The Roman Reigns vignette with Brock Lesnar. The Stone Cold, Kevin Owens doing a Stone Cold, I think was on 3 times during NXT. Everything, just let's go forward. Let's go forward. And that's, I think AEW does good. Although, as I say that, Raw this week went up. NXT had the best viewership since January 11th. So the WWE programming is going up in the ratings. We're going to have to see where AEW, I'll see where the overnight is in the morning. But again, they're putting out, to me, the better product, but it's not showing on the ratings. And again, I only look at Raw. I don't look at SmackDown, because SmackDown is on, basically, I look at what's on cable TV. So for me, the USA Network versus TBS is where I look. But I think tonight's show, to me, should do pretty well. They've been about 980, 990, and hopefully they'll break that 1 million platform. They did it on a couple segments the week before. We'll see what happens this week. But ultimately, I think when you look at what AEW put out there tonight, they advanced the storyline of Adam Cole and Adam Page. You brought in Jurassic Express to take on Red Dragon. Red Dragon also going to be in action on Friday. So you're probably going to build that matchup again. And again, to me, AEW does a better job of building, and I get it. They don't have to build every 4 weeks. Every 4 weeks doesn't have to be a build, where WWE does. But when you look at what Tony Khan has done with AEW, with the you want to talk about long storytelling, it was over a year ago, Scorpio Sky was to become the TNT champion. This was in motion long ago, before everything else happened. The reason it got stranded out a little bit was because Cody left. But Tony Khan is writing leaps and bounds ahead. He knew who his first four heavyweight champions were going to be, in the order that they were going to win it: Jericho, Moxley, Omega, Page. Those were his first 4 champions. When you look at long-term storytelling, he's definitely, looking ahead. Now, are things happening to where some of those plans are either being moved up maybe a little bit or pushed back some? 100%. But they have it down to where they ultimately want to get to as far as a program. And you're seeing it on, the audience. It's just, and again, they've trained their audience to be, very active. They want that activeness, right? Jericho, when they said MJF a long time ago, Jericho, you'll have no music, the fans sung him to the ring. They always sing him to the ring. That's one of the things that again, you invest in that thing, no matter how dumb the influencer gimmick is going to be. I get what they're doing. They're trying to push a couple, some younger guys and give them a rub and this and that. But ultimately, it's about investing in the characters, and everybody is invested in Chris Jericho. Hell, they sing him to the ring. Sammy Guevara, again, they're invested in him. Adam Cole, they're invested. Jay Lethal tonight. Again, I know he's been around the Ring of Honor and things like that, Impact and everything. Very good crowd interaction at AEW Dynamite. The Let's Go Lethal, Adam Cole chants. I mean, that's what you want to have in every match. When you're out there, you want to hear the crowd chanting your name, because why? Then they're involved. They've invested in you. It's not just sitting on your hands. But that to me is what makes AEW, to me, funner to watch from a TV standpoint. The crowd reaction. And it's not, it's not filtered in also. Because I know WWE, sometimes they filter in some of the crowd noise, and you look at it and you're like, that crowd's not moving, but man, they sound loud. And that happens a lot. But you see the crowd at AEW shows, and it's genuine, it's authentic, and that boosts you up. And as a performer, and you're going out there in front of that, man, you're on cloud nine. You're out there, you'll do whatever you want to do, and you see how those guys do. They put their bodies on the line and everything else. It's just there's a big difference in the morale, I guess, really in the morale of the two companies, I guess. WWE is more business-like, I guess, in a way. They're going to tell you they're corporate, I guess. If you want to look at it, I guess in a way, this is exactly what it is. It's corporate. They're going to tell you, they've given you the rule book. Here you go. Whereas AEW is kind of the mom and pop. You might be able to get away with a few things here and there because they don't have that corporate book of rules or anything like that. They're kind of putting it together as it goes, as things happen. And you're seeing some things change with AEW. Not as much craziness on the TV show. Again, they have a lot of time before their pay-per-view. So you're going to see the cage match that you saw last week. You're going to see some people get put through tables like you did tonight. You're going to see that on AEW TV because ultimately they've got to fill, again, they don't fill as much hourly as WWE does, but they still got to fill every week building up to a pay-per-view. It's got to escalate each week to get to a pinnacle when you get to the pay-per-view that you want to go and spend $49.99 because that's what those pay-per-views are usually going for. Do you want to spend $50 to watch an AEW pay-per-view? And ultimately, I think the answer has been a pretty resounding yes. I wonder what the numbers were for the last AEW Revolution, the pay-per-view number buys were for them. Hold on a minute here. Let me type it into my handy dandy look here. AEW Revolution pay-per-view numbers. Let's see here. They don't have Revolution on here. They do not have Revolution on here. Man. Steve Chapman, Sean, to your point, there are always more people tuning in here after WWE shows for whatever reason, despite an inferior product. There's just more interest in WWE. Yeah, and it was spoken yesterday. And actually, Steve, I think it might have been you. I think they're more mainstream. I mean, honestly, when you think wrestling and you ask somebody about pro wrestling, most of the time they're going to give you a WWE guy. They're not going to get like, oh, I love that Kenny Omega and AEW, or for the most part, it's going to be John Cena. I mean, you ask people today, they're going to say you're John Cena. Hell, Undertaker, Stone Cold. You're going to get some of those guys, the names there. I just think it's more mainstream. It's more, I guess, hip. But AEW it's getting there. It's building the product. It's building the base. But again, remember, they're only, 2 years old, 2.5 years old. WWE's been around for, it was WWF, and then it became WWF, and then WWE. So when you look back, that's been around forever. So ultimately, yeah, I mean, in 40 or 50 years, will AEW have that same footprint? And I wonder how many, like today, because again, WCW went out in, I believe it was 2001. And if you talk to wrestling fans today, I wonder if any of them would remember WCW or if they remember just WWE. If you talk to wrestling fans, I mean, you're hardcore wrestling fans. Of course, the hardcore fans are going to know. But, your fans that are just kind of, maybe dabbled in wrestling when they were younger and then came back to wrestling here currently because of the current day product, would they even remember what WCW was? It's going to be very interesting, as things go, because you also have, Ring of Honors picking up now. Impact hasn't been too bad lately. NWA just did the Crockett Cup, which the Briscoes won that there. Matt Cardona took on Nick Aldis and retained the NWA heavyweight title. So again, some of those other, federations, look, they're not the name, they're not the mainstream. You got MLW starting to come back as well. So, and you got some good talent down there. Calvin Tankman, Jacob Fatu. I mean, the list goes on and on for some of the talent down there at MLW that you may ultimately see, appearing on AEW. Because if everything's going the way that, it's being preached and said, WWE is going to start distancing itself from independent workers. Although this last class, a lot of independent workers are coming in. So I'm not sure how true that's going to be. But they're going to go for the college athletes. Vince looks like he's going to go back to his ways of, big, muscular, John Cena's, Randy Orton's, Batista's. When you look at those guys, he wants, the beef guys. And you look at Braun Breaker, you look at Gable Stevenson that's coming in. Those are two guys they want to push. Those are your Vince McMahon body types. He wants that bigger, larger than life cut look. That's what he loves. Hence Brock Lesnar, hence Roman Reigns, hence Goldberg. When you start looking at those guys, there's a reason they're on top. Drew McIntyre. I know earlier the Drew was on when I was on with after Big O went off the air doing Square Circle Digest from 1 to 1:30, and again, that's why Drew was his pick many moons ago. But as Drew has said, he wasn't mature enough to handle it at that point. So he had to go back, kind of hit bottom and come back, and now he gets it. And ultimately, that's what's going to happen with a lot of these guys, because a lot of them they've been in team sports. This sport and sports entertainment, it is a team aspect, but ultimately you have to worry about yourself. You have to worry about the individual. You have to train correctly. You got to, this schedule is not easy. I mean, it's lightened up a little bit because of COVID, but they're still doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You might get Tuesday, Wednesday off, and then you're still doing your promo work. You're still doing your visits to the hospitals. You're still doing your community work and all that stuff in during those 3 days. So ultimately, your schedule is you're pretty beat up, man, because most of the time you wrestle. You go to the next town, you work out in the morning, you go to the building, you wrestle, you drive to the next building, you drive to the next town, you do it all over again. It becomes a little bit of a rigorous, journey for some of these guys until you get used to it. And especially if you're new to the business, you don't always sometimes you don't leave the building till 11:30, midnight. Where are you eating? Where do you go to eat? You're not just going to pick up fast food. You may pick up fast food, and I've seen it on, if you watch, what is it, Car Ride? I believe it's Car Ride with WWE Network, and you'll watch them. Sometimes they'll have to go through the drive-thru and get the chicken sandwich plain, or, throw a little bit of lettuce and tomato, and that's what they do. That's what they're eating on the way, driving to the next town. Back in the day, they used to party, man. It's different now. It's different. Do you still have your times where you can get out and party? Most definitely. Especially like when you got WrestleMania weekend coming up. Everything's in Dallas. You're not leaving that area. So you get flown in Friday. You've got the Hall of Fame and SmackDown. You've got a bunch of access going on where you get to meet a lot of them. And then you've got the NXT at noon, Stand and Deliver. You've got night 1 of WrestleMania, and then you got night 2 of WrestleMania. Then you've got Raw. So again, and you got all the festivities in between because they're doing a whole bunch of stuff in the community in Dallas. That whole weekend is going to be nonstop for those guys and gals. And on top of that, for some of them, it's the match of their life. Will they be able to get back to a WrestleMania? Because that's not given. It's not given, man. You might get your one chance, and that's it. That's why they used to do the I don't know if they're going to do it this year, but they do the Andre the Giant, Memorial Battle Royal. That was just done, one, to test the cameras and make sure everything's working properly, but two, to give those guys a chance to be on WrestleMania, the big stage, as everything's getting, the crowd's coming in and you're being, you're out there as kind of the build-up show for it, but it is, 100% your opportunity. And some have taken advantage of it and others have not. And that's the way the wrestling business works. You get the chance. Do you take advantage of it? Or do you not? Ruthless aggression. Remember that. That was Cena's chance. That was Cena's opportunity. Took full advantage of it, and look what happened to him. Carmelo Hayes on NXT. If you look at what he did, and he kind of did the same thing, and now he's getting the rigors of his work, and rightfully so, man. Rightfully so. Overall, AEW tonight delivered. It delivered. I give it a solid B. I don't know about an A, just because, again, with the way they book their Dynamites, it kind of starts big and tapers off. Usually they got a good main event and then they go off. But tonight, I don't think that main event was, I don't think it delivered the way maybe they thought it was going to. I just don't know that the Dark Order, has that name recognition. I think it would have been better off putting somebody else in there, but ultimately it was really there to get the Jericho Appreciation Society over. I think it did its job. Jericho going off with the smirk at the end, them having to cheat to beat them. The other thing with AEW Dynamite, though, too, is when you watch it, is Layla Hirsch cheated to win at the end there. Adam Cole, nut shot, cheated to win. Chris Jericho, the Bat, cheated to win. A lot of times it gets monotonous, and I know it's tough to change it up and tough to figure out different ways to do it, but at sometimes maybe just it doesn't have to just be a cheat win. Just let them go over, and unfortunately, you got to take away a little bit of the shine from somebody every once in a while. Maybe that should have been done with Red Velvet and Layla Hirsch, since that was the rubber match. Maybe that match didn't need to have the schmoz at the end that they got to, but ultimately they got I just think AEW does a lot. And I know it was brought up a couple times here. Every match seems to have a fluffed finish on TV. They don't want to have one guy beat another. It's cheating. It's run-ins. It's, disqualifications, which is why I found it weird that they had Wardlow beat last week and pinned. Why not just run him into the post and get him counted out? Something like that. But you had Wardlow get pinned. It would have been, I think, better for him if he would have got counted out. But hey, who am I? I'm the guy sitting here talking about it, after the show. I want to thank everybody that's been tuned in here today. And as always, don't forget, Big O show comes your way tomorrow, 10 o'clock. A lot to talk about. The Miami Heat not looking so good. They almost had WrestleMania on the sideline, apparently. So I'm sure that'll get talked about a lot. Of course, the Armstead signing, which kind of got overshadowed by the Tyreek Hill trade. So we're going to probably discuss that and a lot more. We're going to be live at the Poker Room at Hialeah Park Casino tomorrow. And then, of course, we're at Acura on Friday. I want to thank everybody that's tuned in today. And as always, as I say here, so long from the Sunshine State.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear,